Hello and welcome to a special broadcast of the news. Tonight, Alok Verma is back as CBI chief, but does he have the powers, as the Congress seems to suggest, to open the Rafale Pandora Box? Kapil Sibal will be joining us on the show on that. And also, 5 reasons why the centre's attempts at quotas for the upper caste may be a non-starter. But first, our big story tonight. The CBI director has been reinstated. Alok Verma is back in the saddle, and the appointment of M. Nageshwar Rao as joint director as interim chief has been set aside. So this is after Nageshwar Rao was set aside and Alok Verma has been reinstated after he was ousted in a midnight coup. The court agreed with his lawyers that the government did not have the powers to remove him, and that all decisions related to the CBI chief's tenure would have to be referred to a high-powered committee comprising the Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition and the Chief Justice of India. But the court said Mr. Verma cannot take any major policy decisions for now until he is fully cleared by this committee, which has been asked to meet and decide on his status within a week. Mr. Verma's term ends on January the 31st. So it's a qualified restoration of Mr. Verma's position. Now, Arun Jaitley, the finance minister, came out saying that this is not, as it is being widely politically seen, a setback to the government, and that they have been following effectively what the CVC asked them to do. Let's listen.
Preliminary reaction is that the government had taken this action of sending 2 senior officers of the CBI on leave on the recommendation of the Central Vigilance Commission. This action was taken perfectly bona fide because there were allegations and cross-allegations being made by both the officers.
All right, but Rahul Gandhi not quite agreeing with that. He, in fact, seems to suggest that this could open the Rafale Pandora Box. This is what he tweeted. The truth of Rafale will destroy Mr. Modi. It's only a question of time before the full evidence of his role in the theft becomes public. Congratulations to the Supreme Court for upholding the law. Now, is that a correct interpretation or is that an over-interpretation? Joining us tonight on the debate, we have with us on the show Pawan Khera, spokesperson Congress, is here in the studio. Desh Ratan Nigam, political analyst, lawyer, supporter of the RSS. Balwinder Singh, former Special Director CBI. Great to have you, sir. We're hoping to get Prashant Bhushan, senior advocate in the Supreme Court, on in just a second. Desh Ratan Nigam, what do you make of it? I mean, at just the very least, would you concede that this is a huge setback for the government?
See, they have only reiterated the constitution position and trying to isolate the office of director. It is not about Alok Verma. This is not about Alok Verma. This is about the post of the director they have tried to insulate.
Well, it is insulating from what? The fact is, it is a setback.
No, it's not a setback.
The government has been asked to roll back its decision.
See, let me tell you, he has been given an interim position now, like Nageshwar Rao. He cannot take any decision, policy decision also. Major ones, no fresh initiative also he can take it if you read para 41.
Right.
Very clearly written. But
that's no reason to celebrate. I mean, the fact is...
No, nobody is celebrating.
See, nobody is celebrating. The fact is, you're still somehow refusing to accept that it's a setback.
No, it cannot be.
The court has restored him. The government removed him. The court has restored him.
See, the fact remains, it has taken a very balanced view. It has held that all investigations would continue against him. He is not going to discharge his normal functions.
Right.
And he is in a state of animated suspension, if I can put it.
Well,
and
only till such time as the high-powered committee
meets. He's retiring on 31st. Please remember, he's retiring on 31st.
He may be retiring on 31st, but the court is not taking that into consideration, right?
It has noted his date of retirement.
It noted the date of retirement, but it said that the manner in which he was removed, it said was unconstitutional.
See, it has this. See, I may or may not agree with the decision because I can point out certain areas which are going to trouble any government who comes to the power tomorrow.
The Supreme Court order now?
Yes, we can criticize the judgment.
Okay.
And those judgments are sometimes, changed by the parliament.
Okay, let's just go across to Pawan Verma. Pawan Verma, this is not a setback to the government. This is a qualified order. He's been placed in suspended animation. Pavan Kheda, I beg your pardon.
Vasu, this is Pavan Kheda. Yeah, no problem. I am amused to see how happy Mr. Nigam is when he says, oh, he's retiring on 31st, but he cannot initiate any new inquiry.
That is what Supreme Court is saying.
Hide? Why are you so... No, wait. The Supreme Court said several other things, but you are only citing things that give you some relief. And why do they give you relief is what my question is. By the way, Supreme Court said exactly the same for Nageshwar Rao. He started the mining, so-called mining scam investigations. He filed a charge sheet on Mr. Huda and others. So, it's the same. It's
as well as against Akhilesh.
But the relief with which... Akhilesh, that's mining. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, one second. Yes, coming to you. Yes, Pavan, go ahead.
Wait. Don't. So the sense of relief says everything. The role of the CVC. Today, Mr. Arun Jaitley immediately passed on the onus to the CVC. Let the CVC come out and either deny this or resign. The role of CVC in the entire matter of Moin Qureshi needs to be investigated. I'm sorry, the CVC, the CBI, a particular officer of the RAW, and Mr. Ajit Doval, not to deny that.
Pavan,
also talk about big names.
Pavan, now we are going
interfering in Moin Qureshi.
Okay, Pavan,
we are now mess of all these institutions.
Okay, Pavan, we are going a little off point. Can I just ask you? No, one second, Pavan.
Wait,
Pavan.
Let me finish.
Can I just come on the point? I'll come back to you, but on the other points. But on this point, on the point of what Rahul Gandhi tweeted, and we'll have Kapil Sibal's view on that in just a second. But on the point on what Rahul Gandhi tweeted, I want to hear your view, Pawan. Do you mean to suggest that the Congress now believes that Mr. Alok Verma is empowered to open a probe into the Rafale case? Because the court has very clearly said that he cannot take any fresh initiatives that have major institutional implications.
The court said something exactly similar for Mr. Nageshwar Rao. Didn't he initiate inquiry against Akhilesh Yadav? So, policy decision is different. Inquiry into an existing complaint. It's not just Rafale, it's Bhaskar Khulbe's role, it's the Medical Council of India scam.
Right,
there are 7 important cases lying on his table. It's exactly why the government got scared and that midnight coup which they tried to stage.
Okay, so you're saying he can
protect themselves from inquiry.
Okay, so my understanding of what you're saying is he can. Deshat Nigam, you're saying he can't.
So let me tell you. See,
he can't or he can?
See, Rafale is a no issue first. Secondly, he cannot because the Supreme Court has added the word no fresh initiative, which was missing in Nageshwar Rao's case. So that is the difference, the distinction the court has made out here.
But when it says ongoing routine functions, one interpretation of the law is that a filing of an FIR is a routine function of the CBI.
Taking a decision on it will be a routine, will not be a routine function. Routine function, approving the salaries of these lower staff.
Who better to ask than Balwinder Singh, former Special Director CBI, patiently listening in. If you were in the somewhat unenviable position of Alok Verma, that you've been restored as the director of the CBI with these conditions, with this language, do you think that you would be empowered to file a fresh FIR?
Major policy decision, actually CBI, there are hardly any policy decisions. You are basically looking into investigative matters. So on one hand, you can say they are routine because the registration of FIR, whether it's against X or Y, whatever the level of the person, is a routine decision. If investigation is going on, search and seizure is a routine operation.
Right.
So I think starting something new which has tremendous implications in terms of polity, in terms of governance, probably will be a major policy decision. So you have to interpret in that, and
so you're saying a filing of an FIR, that's important. You're saying the filing of an FIR can be seen as a routine decision of the CBI.
Normally, yes.
Okay.
But if that filing of FIR is of such a consequence, it will again depend on, you can definitely interpret in both the manners.
I see. So it's actually a very dicey, it's a very dicey position for him. What would he have to do, again, just to understand from you, a CBI director, he would have to presumably consult with his legal team?
I think if something is ongoing, it's going to be a different matter.
But if it's a fresh,
FIR
thing, or a fresh preliminary inquiry,
in which he has to exercise his discretion, it will be construed as a major policy decision.
Just to add,
Pawan, just a second. No, I'll come back to you. Pawan, it's not that cut and dried, huh? I mean, it is going to be very, very tricky. So the assumption that he's back in the saddle, he's filing FIRs against the Rafale case, if at all he chooses to do, you know, it's not that clear cut.
Vasu, whether it's Rafale or other cases that I mentioned, let the government try and stop the director if he so wishes to go ahead and proceed on inquiring. Because whenever a director CBI receives a complaint, there is an initial stage after which he lodges an inquiry if he deems it fit. I am sure because there were several months he was sitting on that particular Rafale complaint by Yashwant Sinha, Arun Shourie and others. I am sure the first stage had to be over because as per rules they cannot sit on it. Now the second stage, it's a continuing process. It's nothing fresh. Why is this government scared of an inquiry on Rafale is my question. Whether it's Mr. Nigam, whether it's the entire Pravakta lobby of the BJP, everybody celebrating, no, he can't investigate us. Why are you scared?
Yes.
Let him investigate you.
Respond to that, Deshratan Nigam. Why are you all
We were the
celebrating
ones
this?
who
Why are
started
you
a
scared
CBI
of the fact
inquiry on
that he may
Augusta, by
open
the
the
way.
Rafale file
we
in
have
FIR?
nothing
I
to
told
hide,
you
therefore
when
we
I began,
ourselves
I
lodged
said
a
Rafale is
complaint.
no issue. That's enough
If
statement.
it's no issue, then why is what's the problem in it? If he wants to file an FIR, let him file the FIR.
So who's stopping him? Why are we jumping the gun?
Okay.
You know, let him do it. You know, previously Nageshwar Rao, when he was doing it, in order to clarify about a particular case, he went to Supreme Court for clarification. He may also do so. See, that post has been insulated. He may have to go to the Supreme Court
But
for clarification.
Nageshwar Rao went ahead and, as he said, filed FIRs in the mining scam. He's filed FIRs against Akhilesh. But then why
Transferred
legally
officers.
or technically,
Transferred
why?
officers.
What is to stop Alok Verma from doing the same?
I
What's the
don't think
difference?
so. I'm only interpreting the judgment of this.
You
He
think
says-
the judgment is that different between the two?
Yes,
that this one stops it, that doesn't.
The word fresh initiative is the one which has been added here, which is not there in the Nageshwar Rao. It has to be interpreted.
Okay. All right, let's see.
It is open to interpretation.
Okay, wait, let's just go across briefly to Kapil Sibal, senior Supreme Court advocate and Congress leader, who I spoke to earlier in the evening and asked him the same question. Let's watch. Now, sir, tell us, this is being described by Rahul Gandhi as a win for, you know, in a sense, he's linked it to the Rafale case. He said the truth of Rafale will destroy Mr. Modi. It's only a question of time before full evidence of his role in the theft of the 30,000 crores becomes public. Congratulations to the Supreme Court for upholding the law. Now, are we to understand from this that he believes that now that Mr. Verma is back in the saddle, that he will go ahead and now initiate an investigation into the Rafale case?
No, I don't think that that I am entitled to render an opinion on that.
Because Rahul Gandhi has.
No, he has not said that he will take a decision. He has said that the Rafale, what happened in Rafale will be finally before the public. It's unrelated to what will happen in the CBI.
Right.
I mean, the facts on Rafale are every day, right, turning up in the public, right?
But he's linked it to this particular Supreme
he's
Court order.
only-
So hence the assumption that now Mr. Verma will act on Rafale.
No, that you're assuming what Rahul Gandhi is saying. He's not saying any of that.
Okay.
He's only saying that one, it's a great victory. And our suspicion always was that they wanted to prevent certain matters to be taken forward. That was our suspicion.
Including Rafale.
I don't know. There are many things. So maybe that's the reason why they removed him temporarily, right? Now, whether he can or not, that's not something that depends on the reading of the order.
So what is your reading of the order? Because the order does say that the issue of the divestment of power and authority of the CBI director is still open for consideration.
That's correct.
And therefore it goes before the committee. And till then, he has to cease and desist from taking any major policy decisions.
Correct.
Will be only confined to the exercise of ongoing routine functions without any fresh initiative.
That's correct.
So how would you interpret fresh initiative?
Well,
Will it give him the power to register an FIR?
See, first of all, I don't think that I'm in a position to opine on that, for the simple reason that any opinion I give will be seen to be politically motivated. Right? That will be the charge against us.
No, but yours could simply be a legal interpretation of the order. You're a very respected Supreme Court lawyer.
It is for the CBI director to interpret this order within the contours of what the Supreme Court has said. And it's not for me to render an opinion. It would not be fair.
But
especially for a politician. who's
Okay.
also a lawyer, to render an opinion. Not right.
Okay.
I'm not going to do that.
Okay,
But
yes.
let's be clear on one thing. Any matters which were ongoing, any matters which were in the pipeline, any matters which are not fresh, all those matters in a routine manner can be taken forward.
But is the registry of an FIR considered routine? Technically, I'm asking.
No, I don't know. See, for example, the same impediment was imposed on Nageshwar Rao, right? And he's filed, he's moved against Akhilesh.
Yadav.
Akhilesh Yadav, he's moved against the same imposition was on Nageshwar Rao.
Right.
Now, how the Supreme Court interprets that, I don't know.
Okay.
So I don't want to render any opinion.
Okay, you're
on
being
this issue.
surprisingly cautious on this
No,
particular issue.
I should be, and I don't think that as a politician.
Okay, but do you see this as a clear setback to the government, because it is a qualified order?
Oh yes, it's a great setback for the government. In fact, it's most unfortunate that the finance minister says that we just followed what the CBC did.
That's right.
And
That's his defense
which
of
is
it.
completely unfortunate for the finance ministers to say that, because the government argued that the committee really had no role to play after the name was recommended. And now it was for the central government to decide to move against him under the disciplinary rules, because he's an IPS officer, and the Solicitor General argued that we can move against him. Right? So there's nothing to do with the CBC. Number two, they said that the central government who appointed this officer has also the power to remove him under the General Clauses Act.
Right.
That's nothing to do with the CBC recommendation.
Right.
So when the finance minister makes a public statement like that, contrary to the record and contrary to the order, all I can say is that he's trying to defend something that is indefensible.
But the fact that the court has not fully allowed him to exercise his powers, that it has sort of put him in limbo till this committee meets, you don't think that suggests that the centre's case, that there was something against him, there is still a question mark over his conduct, that stands validated?
On the contrary, please understand the verdict of the court. The court says these issues could not have been taken forward either by the CBC or by the union government.
Right.
Because under the Act, they had to refer the matter to the committee.
Right.
And without the prior approval of the committee,
Right.
no step forward could be taken.
Right.
So because both the central government as well as the CBC took the matter forward without the prior approval of the committee, the matter now goes to the committee. And because the matter goes to the committee, therefore the Supreme Court feels, maybe rightly, that while we are considering the matter, no such fresh steps should be taken.
Okay.
Okay? I think that's the context in which the judgment has been rendered.
You think that's a fair interpretation of the
No, but
circumstances by the court?
That's what the Supreme Court says.
Right.
Whether it's fair, not fair, is not for me to say. That's what the Supreme Court says, that we are now seized of the matter. At the outset and at the outside limit, within 1 week, we will decide this matter. And if we find there's nothing in it, then of course his term will go on. But the cease and desist order, in the context in which they have worded it, will operate till then.
And about this question of whether Mr. Verma should get the additional period of his term, which has been, which was suspended prior to this order, how do you read
Now,
that from this order?
That's something on which I have an opinion.
Okay.
Because the statute says that he shall get a 2-year term.
Right.
It's a fixed tenure.
Right.
So from the 23rd of October till today, he could not function.
Yes.
So that period must be excluded in order that he serves a 2-year term.
Oh, I see. So you feel that should be added on.
That should be, that must be, because when you say that you have a 2-year term,
Right.
and in the meantime, you have thrown him out of office in a sense, de facto,
Right.
you have paralyzed his functioning, then you must ensure a 2-year term.
So whose task, because the court doesn't make that clear, so whose
Well,
task
maybe
will
the
that be
court doesn't make
ensure that?
clear, but that's for the committee now to take up.
Right.
That's for the committee to take up, that he must, after all, if you are saying that he must complete a 2-year term, and these orders that are passed, the 3 orders passed on 23rd of October, were jurisdictionally defective, then you have to make him, then you have to reinstate him and complete his 2-year term.
But overall, Mr. Sibal, politically you feel that this has been, in balance, a much greater setback for the government?
Oh, absolutely, without any doubt, because all these midnight orders,
Yes.
you've seen demonetization was midnight, GST was midnight, this was a midnight order. This government seems to be very fond of midnight orders. but I think that they didn't think things through. And see the conduct of the union government has to be answered, because what did they do? They put up somebody there, right? All the officers that he had appointed who were doing very serious investigations were transferred out.
Right.
So obviously the union government and the CVC and these fellows were supporting.
Right.
And they put somebody out there as in charge, temporarily in charge, which also has been struck down by the Supreme Court. So Nageshwar Rao's appointment struck down. He is to be reinstated. Central government's order struck down. CVC's order struck down. So it's a complete loss for the government and a loss of face.
Last question. I'm going to try to persist once again, though you say you won't answer the question. You're saying that you don't want to comment on whether he will have the powers to register an FIR or not. But some would argue that registry of an FIR or a preliminary inquiry is very much part of the routine functioning of an investigating agency.
It's like this. The Supreme Court has held in several judgments that if allegations are made which constitute an offence, then it's obligatory to lodge an FIR.
Right.
So that's what the Supreme Court order says.
Okay.
Okay? And that's what the law is.
Okay.
Now, it's not for me to render any opinion on this.
Okay.
Whether this order of the Supreme Court prevents the CBI director, when reinstated, not to follow the law is a question that the CBI director will have to answer, not me.
Okay, but by citing the Supreme Protocol, at least the Supreme Court Protocol, you've given us some idea, at least of what the legal precedent is when it comes to the registry of an FIR.
Legal precedent dehorsed this order.
Right.
But legal precedent in the context of this order is something for the CBI director to decide.
All right, Mr. Sibal, thanks very much indeed for talking to us.
Thank you.
All right, as we said, a very unusually circumspect Kapil Sibal there. Let me just go across to Prashant Bhushan, who finally is able to join us on the debate via Skype. Prashant, thanks for being able to join us. Apologies for that slight earlier issues with the technical side of it. But Prashant, you, from what I understood, your initial reactions to this order, you weren't very pleased. Am I right? You found those riders were surprising.
Yes, I mean, after they had clearly and unequivocally held that his removal was bad in law and it violated the letter and spirit of the law as well as of the Supreme Court's earlier judgment, there was no need to put any restrictions on his functioning by saying that he can't take policy decisions, etc. So that was quite surprising. But as I have said, that does not mean that he can't take routine decisions, and registering FIRs or preliminary inquiries or filing charge sheets, etc. is the routine functioning of the CBI. In fact, everything mentioned in the CBI manual is part of the routine functioning of the CBI. And anybody who says that this Supreme Court's order prevents him from registering even an FIR or a preliminary inquiry is actually attributing a malafide motive to the Supreme Court.
Would you say that though? Because the point that several have made, and this includes, by the way, Kapil Sibal, who you may have just heard, is that this line about no fresh initiative by Mr. Verma that has major institutional implications, that is being seen as a suggestion or is being read or is being interpreted to suggest that perhaps he may not be able to file a fresh FIR.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You see, either you attribute a malafide intention to the Supreme Court by saying that yes, though they have restored him, but they have not allowed him to function at all. Because if he can't even register an FIR or a preliminary inquiry, then effectively you are saying that he can't function at all.
Right.
That means that the Supreme Court, while making an appearance that they have restored him, have actually not restored him.
Right.
That would be attributing a malafide intention to the Supreme Court, which I am not prepared to attribute. And besides, how can registering FIR or preliminary inquiry be deemed to be a policy initiative which has institutional implications? I mean, this is routine. This is the most routine function of the CBI.
Okay, so let's see whether he, this is how Mr. Verma chooses to interpret it. But because we're running out of time, I want to ask everyone very quickly about whether it's realistic to expect this high-powered committee, which has not met, I think, for a very long time, to actually now sit and meet and within a week sir, take a call on Mr. Verma's status? You think that's
I
realistic?
think more important than that is we have to understand that Supreme Court has split the issue in two parts. One is the power of government to remove or transfer or send somebody on compulsory leave.
Right.
That issue in the context of CVC Act, in the context of All India Service Rules has been interpreted.
That's important.
The other is the issue of merits of allegation and the evidence available, whether it takes 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever time frame. That is a separate issue.
Right.
So
Only
this-
because he has very little time left, January 31st.
So it's just that
so
in
it's
this
just a matter
particular-
of now 3 weeks.
When you are talking of institutions, you are not looking at an individual.
Right.
So in this case, one issue has been settled that in order to provide complete insulation to this office,
That
the
has been
Supreme
settled.
Court has decided that in the context of insulation of this
Yes.
office from extraneous influences,
Yes.
there is need for security of tenure to this extent that only the committee which selects it
Right.
can
So that was a
take
good,
that call.
Okay, that's a good important step. On the committee, is the government actually going to enable this committee to meet? Or will they now
I
find reasons to stall?
I don't think they should find reasons. Reason being, Supreme Court has asked them, I think every endeavor would be made, unless and until there are emergent situations like CGI is not available. You know, at present he's not in India, or I don't know, he did not attend his office today also. So therefore, those situations notwithstanding, the directions are very clear that do it within a week.
Pawan Khera, you think it's going to happen? The committee meeting within a week and taking a call? They've not met in a long
So
time.
it better happen. A, you have to ensure that the fixed tenure of 2 years has been brutally compromised with by this government. The 75 days need to be restored to the same CBI director. After all, it's the institution also we are talking about. So it's for the sake of ensuring absolute quick investigations wherever they are required, and to also give him his 75 days. It is a must that government immediately calls a meeting and restores confidence, restores some integrity to these institutions.
But Pawan, you heard Kapil Sibal himself. I mean, he sounded much more circumspect about all of this. In fact, even qualifying what Rahul Gandhi said. So someone who's part of your own team and a senior lawyer, he doesn't seem that sure.
It's not that. No, he was very clear about what he said, both as a lawyer and as a Congress leader, since the fact of the matter is, verification is the first step. Rafale complaint has been lying on his table.
Okay.
Verification, I am sure, has been done because you can't sit on a complaint.
Okay,
Therefore,
fine.
it's an ongoing process.
Okay,
It's
you're
not
saying
me,
he's
first
clear.
of all.
Okay, Prashant, very last word from you. You think realistic committee to be able to meet and take a call?
Yes, if the court has directed that they should meet within a week, I suppose they will meet within a week, and they should take whatever call they need to take within a week or shortly thereafter.
Okay, all right. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. But it certainly makes for another interesting twist in this ever-evolving story. Thank you all, gentlemen, so much for joining us.